sorry, I think we're live. I think we're on. I'm so sorry. The nature of going live in a virtual world. And here we are. So we are in your living room, I think. I'm in my office. You're in your living room. Everyone's in their own spaces. And with the way that the world has been, this is how we have all been connecting with each other recently. I'm a little bit of a newbie to it, and I'm sure some of you are too, but thank you for joining us tonight. It's here for a special reason. We are here, as you can see in my beautiful oh, my hand just disappeared. Oh, different background. We're here for the launch of Messenger 93. This is the official book launch. The book came out on Sunday, April 19th, just a few days ago, written by Barbara Radecki. Before we get into our whole evening, we've got lots of things planned for you. I just wanted to go through a bit of housekeeping. So you may have been participating over the last 5-6 weeks with your friends and family and your colleagues with Zoom in a meeting format. This is a webinar format, and it's a bit different. So I want you to imagine that you're all in a concert hall or an auditorium, and we're all together, excited, and here for Barbara, but we are not able to see each other. But if you look at the bottom of your screen, there is a chat window, and I would encourage you to chip in on that chat and tell us here that you're here, where you're from, and say encouraging things. A little later on in the broadcast, we're also going to have a chance for you to post some questions, and we'll try our best to put those questions out to Barbara. We won't have time for a lot, but we'll try as much as we can. The other thing that I wanted to mention, if you've been using Zoom in the past, there's a speaker view and a gallery view. And on your device, it's different on all different devices, but you should be looking for something that says speaker or gallery. And we would hope that you go into gallery view so that when we do have multiple speakers on the screen at the same time, you can see them both. If you happen to be looking at this on an iPhone or a tablet of some kind, you will be able to just swipe to see speakers if you can't see them. And I just want to make sure that you can hear that. But no matter what, if somebody starts speaking, they'll come to the front and you'll be able to see them. So without further ado, let me see. Take a moment. Think that we're in an auditorium. It's a beautiful space. We see somebody sitting in the corner that we're going to meet. There are candles going. There are beautiful floral arrangements in the room. Oh, we can't quite see that. Floral arrangements. Welcome, Barbara Radecki. You published your second novel this week.
Yes, it did come out this week. Thank you, Sandy. I first of all, I can't say another word without thanking you profusely for all of the work that you've done, for all of the hand-holding, for all the technical support, for setting this up. I could not have done this. One human being, I don't even know how you did this, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
It was a learning curve for both of us, though. We're still in our living rooms. And remember, everyone, we've all been doing this. That there are 5 different households that have been managing to pull this together from 5 different locations. Working virtually is a whole new science. So how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling emotional. I'm feeling nervous. Nervous because obviously I feel like everyone's expecting something from me, and I want this to be an interesting evening for you. I want this to be a successful launch, but obviously there's emotions underneath that are based on, you know, what we're going through right now and the reason we have to do this virtually, and you know, so there's that as well.
Mm-hmm. There's so much going on in the world. Yeah. Okay. What am I doing next? And this is the nature.
You're giving it to me.
I am. I'm going to say, I'm passing to you now, Barbara. So without further ado, you take it over and tell us more about what we're going to do the rest of the evening.
Thanks, Sandy. Thank you, everybody. Okay, here goes. So this is a virtual launch, and I can't see any of you. And normally, in my last experience having a launch, I was surrounded by friends and family and people that I work with and colleagues and people who were interested in the story, and I could feed off of your energy and have that support me no matter how nervous and excited I felt. But today I'm here, and my husband Phil is on the other side of the room doing my tech support as well, and my dog is eating his bony in the corner. So yeah, I'm feeling very I feel like I'm living in a parallel universe, in two parallel universes. There's the universe that acknowledges that we are going through something hugely traumatic collectively right now. There is pain and loss and fear all around us. And I want to acknowledge that everything that comes next, any celebrating, any laughter, is sitting on that, you know, on that foundation of what we're experiencing as the world. It's also interesting that my launch happened to coincide with Earth Day, and my dear friend Charlotte also reminded me ages ago, when this was still supposed to be a brick and mortar launch at Ben McNally's, that Earth Day, this is the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Of course, I'm sure everyone knows that by now, but I didn't, and I'm like, oh, that's very cool to coincide with Earth Day, because of course my book starts with a crow giving a message to a girl that she has to save someone, and that by saving someone, she saves the world. So I think Earth Day is about connecting with receiving messages from the earth, from the people around us, and what all the different languages we speak. And even if groups of us speak collective languages, we may not, we also have individual languages. And so that's something that in my other parallel reality is the fact that I am celebrating the release of a second book. And here it is, Messenger 93. This is the copy. And of course, I'm excited and nervous, and I hope it finds readers, and I hope that the specific individual language in this book speaks to some of you out there and is meaningful, and it takes some of you on a ride, and it lets some of you know that you're not alone, and that that the experience of going into a story can sometimes help us escape a little bit when things are painful and difficult in the real world. So, you know, hopefully you'll ask questions, and hopefully one of the questions we can think about or talk about after this launch is, you know, what does it mean to save the world, and what does it mean to want to save the world? I had an email exchange with another very good friend of mine, Lori, and I actually printed out, she sent me many exquisite morsels of wisdom, but she said something that just really touched me, and I didn't ask her permission, so I won't say her last name, but she said something that really stuck with me. She said, I think we are in the part of the story where the woods are dark and we are lost. No longer where we were, not yet where we are going to end up. And yeah, that's beautiful. And it's also perfect because it has a kind of fairy tale quality to it. And of course, I love fairy tales, and I love fairy tales kind of underpinning my story, and curious about how people navigate the woods, literal and imaginary and figurative, and how human beings move from their individual darkness, their specific darkness, into their individual light. So anyway, that's pretty much how I just want to present what I have tried to do in this story. And so that's a good segue to introduce you to my wonderful publisher and editor, Barry Jowett from DCB. When Barry first, hi Barry.
Hi.
When Barry first acquired Messenger 93, one of the reasons I was so excited is he just got it. He understood right away what I was trying to do. I didn't even have to explain it. I didn't have to send a little message. And I am so grateful, Barry, that you got it, and that you're supporting me, and that you have, you know, I'm grateful for everything you brought to the story, your insights, your vision, your support, that you turned the story around for me at a very key moment. So yeah, so with that said, I just want to say thank you, and I'll pass it over to you.
Well, thank you, Barbara, and we're glad you sent it to us. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming to the virtual launch tonight, and for supporting Messenger 93, and everybody who's bought the book already. We've seen sales already, so thank you for supporting the book. Buy all you want, we'll print more. There's there are books out there. You can get them from bookstores. I'll talk about that in a second. But right now, I want to thank Ben McNally Books because they were, as it was mentioned, they were supposed to host the launch originally. Things shut down and they can't do that. But they're a great supporter of authors, presses, and readers, and they host the best events in the city. So thank you guys. Thank you, Ben and Rupert and everybody at Ben McNally Books. We hope to see you again when this is all over, and hope that you guys are around for a long time and wherever your space is. And we want to thank Barbara for trusting us with her book. That's a big deal to us when an author says, yes, I want to publish you a second time. That means something to us. We published The Dark House in 2016. That was an in-house favorite. It's a beautiful, brilliant, very literary young adult novel that got a lot of good press. It was nominated for the Kobo Emerging Writers Prize. And when you have a first novel that's brilliant like that, as an editor, you're always nervous about the second book from that author because you see a lot of second novels that don't really measure up to the first. But we were thrilled with Messenger 93 because I think Barbara's become a better writer even than on her first book, which is saying a lot. She's brilliant at writing characters, creating a world for readers to live in for the duration of the book. And it's a book that stays with you after you're done with it. We hope that it's got a lot of words coming to it. Barbara is a true writer who finds a good story and tells that story well. And she's a joy to work with. And we're all huge fans of her at DCB. I want to send a shout out to the independent booksellers in Canada because during all this, when this started, publishers were freaking out because we didn't know how we were going to sell books. So with all the bookstores we assumed will be shutting down. And we at DCB, our entire spring list came out just days before the shutdown. So we were in a panic, but the independent booksellers have really stepped up. When they couldn't open their doors to let you in to buy books, they found ways to bring books to you. And almost every independent bookseller in the country is doing delivery or curbside pickup. They're finding ways to get you books. And they're actually, I've talked to a few of them who are doing a really good business, and some of them are overwhelmed. So we hope you continue to overwhelm them by buying Messenger 93. If you want to know which stores are open in your area and who has Messenger 93, follow our social media. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and we're telling you every day which booksellers are open, which are carrying the books that we've published. If you don't want to wait for specific stores and specific books to come up, you can contact us through Facebook or Twitter, or contact me directly, that's fine. You can email me at b.jowett@cormorantbooks.com, and I can tell you exactly which stores in your area have the book and are selling it. If you want to order through Amazon, you can do that, but you're actually going to get books a lot faster going through independent bookseller because Amazon has deprioritized books. Independent booksellers have prioritized books. With independent booksellers, you are always a Prime member. So if you want a book quick and you want it done well, you can get it through your independent bookstore. And please support them because right now they're saving books like Messenger 93 and they're saving Canadian literature. So we're very thankful to them. And well, I guess I'll throw it back to Barbara now. Barbara, congratulations on the new book. And we hope that we have a lot to celebrate down the road.
Oh, thank you so much, Barry. Thank you. And actually, before you go, what can I tell my American friends who are watching? Is Amazon their only, obviously shouldn't be their only option. Can they also get the book to local bookstores?
Yeah, you can check with local bookstores. A lot of it is the same thing in the States. I don't have the information on individual booksellers in the States. I could try to get that for American book buyers, but we distribute through Orca Books into the US, and we know that they've taken hundreds of copies to sell in the States. So the book is available in the States right now, and people can get it through the US stores. So, but if someone's having trouble, let me know, and I'll see what I can do for you.
Oh, super. Great. Thank you. Thanks so much, Barry. Thank you. Yep. And just on his note, there is a list of independent bookstores that will scroll by, or not scroll by, but flash by on the credits in Canada from West Coast to East Coast, all the stores that have Messenger 93 right now. Of course, any bookstore, as Barry said, can order them in, but you can actually see specifically which stores have it. Okay, so thanks, Barry. And that brings me to my next special guest, who is my beloved agent, Sam Hiyate from the Rights Factory. a wonderful literary agency. Sam has been my agent for many years. He saw me through The Dark House and Messenger 93. He has been there through meltdowns and emotional turmoil, and supporting me and bringing me through the whole process always. He's an incredible agent. So I just want to say, hi, Sam. Do people see Sam yet? Yes. Okay, great. So hi, Sam. How are you?
Good. So you want me to go?
Yes, you can go. I think, yes.
So what's interesting to me is that I think I've probably been to like 150 book launches in my life. And I like this. This is the first time that I'm doing a virtual book launch. I like it mainly for one reason. I'm not drinking right now, so it's not like I can just drink, but I miss that, the kind of feeling of wandering around the bookstore and seeing everybody and having drinks and snacks and stuff. But the one thing that I can see on the Zoom panel is it says 112 participants. I love that because it saves me that idea at the end of the launch when I have to call the author. I'm like, oh, there were 300 people there. It was awesome. So now I can tell you there were 112 people here.
Well, actually, probably more, because a lot of people are watching it together, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there's 112
partners,
devices.
People. Oh, there's Alicia. I recognize all these people. There's Nathaniel, Arca. So thanks everybody for coming. You guys are awesome. I love seeing authors and friends up there. So what to me is special about this book is that when Barbara and I were working on the Dark House years ago, I think, Barbara, it was like a record. I think it was like 5 or 6 years, maybe more than that. 6, would you say? Anyway.
Yes, let's just say 6.
It was a long time. And I feel like this one you turned around in such a short amount of time that and like Barry says, your stuff is getting better. I feel like, I feel like we're just lining up for the third book. So I'm just so excited that this is I'm trying out this new thing, being stone cold sober and still trying to be funny, which is a little harder, at least to yourself. And I'm also so proud of you for doing a better book twice as fast, which is every agent's dream is that we just sit there while you kind of produce them like it's a factory, We just kind of like, oh, here's another one to say. Oh, there's another one. Oh my God, we can't keep up. But I'm just so happy. And we were talking earlier, and I wanted to tell everybody that I feel sometimes like, I'm as an agent, I'm the midwife to the book, and we kind of do it together, and then the book is birth that comes out into like from being this, ephemeral thing, like, which is what a manuscript is, to being a tangible physical object that is real. I think it's, in religion they call it transubstantiation, but I'll stop from using the $3 words. But anyway, so I'm just so excited because the first launch happened, and I love that almost all the people that were there, I see so many of the names, were all here again. So it's like the same group, and that in this case, it's like other than it being a smooth birth like the first book, this one's a little more complicated, but we still have the baby. Like it still came, it's gorgeous. It still came out. It was just a little more complicated, and now it's a question of showing it to the world. So I'm just really happy to be here, and congratulations. I'm just so excited.
Thank you so much, Sam. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I couldn't do it without you, and I couldn't do it without your team. And of course, we're going to get to Diane Terrana later, but I certainly couldn't do it without Diane, who you gifted me, not just
Diane is awesome. And I agree. Yeah. I don't think I could have done anything without Diane either.
Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot, Sam. I will now take it to the next phase of this evening. So I decided to do something a little different with my readings. So normally at a true launch, a real launch rather, I would just read a few pages from my book, and then we would go around and have glasses of wine and some cheese and crackers. But because I'm doing it this way, and because I come from an acting background, not that I wanted to perform it, not that there's any roles in my book for me, but I decided what would happen if we did some readings. So we could just have a nice hour here, a nice, interesting hour here to be together. So with the help of some beautiful, talented friends, we did do that. We have a selection of scenes coming up. We taped those earlier, so you'll even see my preambles have been taped earlier. And the readers also will be on a credit at the end. And they are reading. So it might look like they're looking to camera or performing, but they're also reading from their computers. So, you know, we had to put this together really quickly, but they did a brilliant job, and I'm so grateful to all of you. And yeah, take it away. Hope you enjoy. So this is the opening chapter of Messenger 93. This is the first reading that I'm going to share with you. This is following the narrator. She's a 16-year-old middle-class white girl. Her name is M. Well, her story name is M. We never hear her actual name. And she's going to bring you into her world on this first day.
Thursday, April 12th, 7 days until the fall. How do I explain how it started? Putting it into words is like looking at the sky and saying it's blue. Blue doesn't account for gradations of color or shifts in weather or my eyes seeing differently than yours. Blue is basic. It doesn't reveal the truth. It was the middle of the night when I woke up and saw it. It was absolutely clear, not a waking dream, not a hazy sort of what is it. No, it was distinct and real. It was there, materializing through the sooty skeins of darkness above my head. A crow. It was hovering over my bed, directly underneath my starburst glass and bronze ceiling light. Its wings were spread, the feathers glossy black. Its eyes, black and red-rimmed, stared at me. I stared back, intensely aware of the physical world, how a million tiny goosebumps ran over my skin, how my breath huffed out and in, rhythmic and locomotive, how the nighttime shadows erased everything in the room but the crow. My body had turned into a block of ice. I could feel the weight of my sheet and blanket over me, the slight added pressure on my abdomen of my sketchbook. The crow drifted closer, as smooth and stealth as a military hovercraft. It was maybe 3 feet away now, touching distance.
You are Messenger 93.
A voice in the dark.
You must find her.
Its pointed little beak didn't move, didn't snap open and shut or have superimposed lips like in those CG phony movies. But I was certain it was the crow speaking.
She will fall in 7 days.
It didn't sound male, it didn't sound female.
As she falls, so do we all.
My mind didn't search to understand. I didn't try to talk back.
Only you can save her.
The crow flapped its wings one time. I could feel a whoosh of warm air against my cheek. It said,
Save her. Save us all.
And then it folded itself inside its feathers and sank into the darkness like a corpse on water.
So now M has been processing these strange messages that she received from the crow. She doesn't know what they mean or what they're telling her to do. And she finds out that a girl, Krista, has disappeared. She ran away from home the day before. So that's throwing her for a loop, and she doesn't know how to navigate that, because Krista is actually her high school nemesis, because Krista was responsible for her being ostracized from her social groups. So M is very reluctant to help save Krista, but she keeps getting drawn into this, into following the clues that might lead her there. And in this scene, she runs into her 3 ex-best friends from childhood.
After my last class, I rounded through the side doors and came up against the circle wall of LJ, Hattie, and Anusha. All 4 of us stalled to instant and stiff attention. Them staring at me taking them in, the football field behind them stretching away like some empty airstrip at the edge of the apocalypse. It was ominously quiet. No teachers, no students running by, no breeze buffeting over the short-mown grass, no birds, no crows in the giant oak. I'm looking for Krista. It was a blurt, not the words I'd wanted to speak if I saw them, definitely not the words I meant, because I was not looking for Krista. But now it was out and I couldn't take it back. Hattie stepped towards me.
Why?
I don't know. There was a slight breathlessness to my voice. Because I have to? Except I didn't, did I? I still had a choice.
You have to.
Anusha stepped in beside Hattie and stared me down.
Is this another one of your backstabbing moves?
No. Tears twitched at the rims of my eyes. No, I wouldn't. But that was all I could get out. I hunched my shoulders and pushed to move past them. LJ stepped in front of me.
Krista doesn't want to be found.
Hattie smacked LJ's arm.
Stop saying that.
Why should I when it's true? Krista chose this. Why am I the only one who respects that?
Because it's dangerous.
Yeah, and she's doing it anyway. She's doing what she needs to do, and she doesn't care about anything else.
But we don't know for sure she chose this.
It looked like Hattie was going to cry.
Someone could have taken her.
Come on, it's Krista we're talking about. She texted her mom before she ditched her phone. She literally said she was okay.
But what if she's running away from something and she can't talk about it? Like some sort of abusive situation.
This time LJ smacked Hattie.
Cleo is not a fucking abuser. Cleo is an angel.
Right. And her dad's dead, so it can't be that.
What I don't get is how you guys don't see this whole thing as a huge betrayal.
Betrayal?
She never said anything to us. What does that say about our friendship? That she doesn't trust us? She's leaving us hanging like everyone else. And Boyd, you ever think about him? What kind of person does that? Leave their boyfriend like that?
It's okay, Anusha.
Tears were streaming down Hattie's face.
You just feel guilty because you can't help.
Anusha reeled on her.
I don't feel guilty. This is not my fault. I'm saying she betrayed us and she betrayed him, and I hope she's having fun on her sparkly adventure, but she's dead to me.
Hattie gasped.
And what are you doing here?
Anusha spun around to face me.
We didn't invite you to our wake. Or are you loving this? Karma for some traumatic shit you think Krista did to you.
The other two girls turned and stared at me too, riveted, waiting. I didn't. I shook my head. The inside of my mouth was sand. I'm not.
How are you better than her, huh? You two are two sides of the same coin.
She stared at me for a really long time. I mean, like when seconds extended to eons and eras. What was I doing? Why was I here? I know you guys think I started those rumors, that I set you up or backstabbed you or whatever, but I swear I didn't do any of it. You were my best friends. I would never break that.
Well, too bad. Because everything breaks, doesn't it?
So in this next scene, Em has found her way to Krista's house. She's being drawn there inexorably, and she's waiting outside the house, not sure what to do next. And Krista's mother, Cleo, finds her out there, and she assumes that Em is there to help, and she brings her into the house.
Cleo stood in the doorway and watched the cop car drive off. Her face seemed to dissolve in the late afternoon light, paling into frail distress like a tissue in a puddle. She looked so alone, abandoned. She took my hand and led me up the walk and then up the stairs to her house. Her hand was dry. Sharp edges from pulled hangnails scratched at my fingers. There was something childish about the way she gently tugged at me to come inside, like we were going to see something marvelous together.
They've been here for hours.
She led me down a grand entrance hall.
We've been going through all of her things. Her phone, her room, her computer, her locker. They took her hard drive. Do you know what that's like for a mom who promised to respect her child's privacy? It's, I can't.
I'm so sorry. I felt useless, somehow responsible. We arrived at the family room. Leo pushed aside some tiny car models on the couch, and they clattered noisily to the hardwood floor.
Please sit. Forgive the mess.
I sat down beside her, sinking deep. It was warm, and I unzipped my coat.
Krista didn't take anything. She needs her medication.
Cleo lifted a knuckle to her lips. It was terrible watching her try to erase her emotions.
She just left us.
I'm so sorry. She reached over and took my hand, probably unconsciously because she squeezed too tight and it hurt.
I drove the streets looking for her, like you do for a lost dog. Isn't that
You must be so tired. This was outside my realm.
I am. I'm very tired.
She ran her fingers lightly over her cheeks. I noticed for the first time that she had a light spray of freckles across them, like aerosol paint spatter.
I don't know why she left. No one knows why she left. Do you know why?
There had to be a good reason. A good one. But I couldn't think of any. Krista had everything, including this, a loving, worried, searching mother. I'm sorry, I have no idea.
She gets so angry for no reason ever since her dad.
Yeah, I said, drawing it out to fill the silence.
Did you know they took her toothbrush for DNA evidence? I mean, no expense spared. And I am so, so grateful, but if they find her, if she doesn't want me to know where she is, then they are legally bound not to tell me her whereabouts. Me, her own mother. Isn't that the most?
She grabbed my hand again.
Do you know where she is?
No, I'm sorry. I wish I knew where she was. I was weirdly scared now.
Oh, sweetie, I know how hard this is on you kids.
She let go of my hand. I was embarrassed at the hugeness of my relief. She bent over and gathered up a handful of little kid puzzle pieces that were skittering under her foot.
Krista always loved puzzles, riddles, that kind of thing. I think that's why she sent that strange message. I think it's her way of processing since her dad died.
Everything inside me vibrated. Wait, she sent you a strange message?
Oh, maybe you'll understand it.
She jumped up.
They found her phone in that garbage can at school.
She disappeared around the corner into the hall that led towards the back of the house. She came back a few seconds later, holding Krista's phone. It was the same model as mine, protected inside a glitzy black and gold cover.
I hope you can figure it out.
She powered on the phone. The unlock screen came up. She glanced at me guiltily.
They hacked her password. Don't judge me. We have no choice.
Her fingers were trembling. She keyed in Krista's code. 9393.
I wonder if you have any idea
The screen unlocked.
what this means?
She tapped into the messages, then into a text which she presented to me, but I couldn't register the text or her question. My entire brain was occupied by a flashing set of numbers. 93? Was that really Krista's password? Cleo was staring at me so directly it felt like a drill to my head. She was waiting for me to understand. I'm sorry, what? My voice echoed, someone else speaking. I didn't want to save Krista. I couldn't.
So this is the last scene that you're going to see. And this is 24 hours later. Em has been journeying through the city, trying to figure out what the clues mean, what the messages mean. And she now is officially missing herself. She's realized that from social media, but she's sort of too far in to go back. And she keeps going. She finds herself at a police precinct looking for more clues, following through on more clues. And she sees a young man there. His name is Gray. He's Cree. He's looking for a missing Indigenous girl, and he has a hoodie with a crow on the back. And she feels that that is a sign for her to follow him. She's drawn to him and she follows him. And she ends up following him through the city, unbeknownst to him. And she sees him go into an army surplus store where he buys a knife that he straps to his arm and a white plastic mask that he puts on his face later. And he's also carrying a poster with him that has a photograph of a girl on it, and it says Jocelyn missing for 27 days. And he's very upset that the authorities are not doing their due diligence to look for Jocelyn. So Em now finds her way, or looks for him, at the protest for missing Indigenous girls at City Hall Square. And she's waiting. She's not sure what their relationship is supposed to be, and she follows him, and then she thinks that maybe he's going to, well, you'll see. Just watch the scene and you'll see what she thinks and what happens.
6 days until the fall. Placards stabbed the spaces around me. Calls and chants echoed in my ears. Tourists in suits blocked my way as they stopped to watch. Then I saw him. Standing apart from the crowd outside the circle of dancers. Tweed cap, black hoodie, overstuffed backpack strapped to his back. A knife holstered underneath his sleeve. White faceless mask hiding his identity. He jabbed the Jocelyn poster over his head in time to the drum beat. No one seemed to notice him, even though he looked packed with aggression. Then it swarmed me in a cathartic rush. He is the fall. I was Joan of Arc, driven by purpose, protected by armor, marching into battle. I was doing what I was called to do. I wound around bystanders focused only on him, and then I was behind him, his backpack was the only thing between us. My hand twitched to reach out, to yank him away from the others, to make itself known to him. I couldn't take my eyes off the back of his head, the way the tweed cap fit around it, the short, ordered hairs outlining his skull, the sharp rim of the plastic mask against his cheek, the curve of his ear, the ear I could see as I walked on his right side. Below it, there was a tattoo, a hyper-delicate feather inked into his neck. Each tiny barb along the vein had its own style, stiff or soft or spent. The longer I stared at it, the fineness, the sweetness of that tattoo, the more everything changed. It was as if the feather was threading inside my mouth to latch onto something beating and vital. I didn't understand what it meant. Don't do it. His head twitched in my direction and away again, as if he'd heard and then dismissed me. I moved in closer as we stepped in time behind the circle of dancers. Don't do it. This time he pulled away from the circle and round towards me.
You're following me? Why are you following me? Who are you?
An answer came out of my mouth before I could stop it. I'm Messenger 93, and I have to stop you from bringing harm to these people. Even as I said it, I cringed. Had I stepped out of my brother's manga?
Messenger 93?
I didn't know where to look. The mask was too creepy and lifeless. He dropped his arm from my chest.
What harm am I bringing to these people?
The knife, the mask, the backpack. I have to stop you. That's all I know.
I seriously gotta do this for you?
He unzipped the backpack and tugged the sides open, jerking the nylon flaps a couple of times for effect. I could have run then. There was nothing stopping me. But I looked inside the unzipped parts. Compact bag tent, sleeping bags, rolled clothes, packs of freeze-dried food. For the first time, I noticed the water canteens in both side pockets. Camping equipment. But the knife. At the store in his hands, it had looked like a weapon. He was zipping the bag closed again, quietly grunting because too much was in it and the teeth could barely join. A tiny droplet of sweat trickled from under his cap and trailed the edge of the mask.
The knife is for the woods. For food?
Of course you'd need a knife for camping, for food.
And the mask?
He pulled it off, let it dangle by its elastic from his neck. Sweat droplets beaded his cheeks and the bridge of his nose.
That's for the invisible girls who disappear off our streets every day. If they're nobody, I'm nobody.
Oh, I thought, sinking deeper into myself. Right. Shame burned me up. He was just a kid, worried and searching for someone who meant something to him. What had I done? What had I done? And how had I looked coming at him? Wound up, aggressive, hiding inside my hood? I bent up to pick the Jocelyn poster up. It seemed rude to leave her lying on the dirty pavement. I brushed my hand across her face.
Can I go now?
He didn't wait for an answer. He heaved the backpack over his shoulders, grabbed the Jocelyn poster from me, and trudged away. I could have left then, forgotten all about him, but I ran after him. I'm sorry. He kept striding away. You have to believe me. He didn't have to believe me. Of course he didn't have to believe me. It was a mistake what I said to you. He stopped. He was only a few feet away. His skin was in touching distance, warm and pulsing, his intent, shining eyes looking at me. Interstellar planets. I'm here because because I'm also looking for a missing girl. He used his sleeve to wipe the crystalline beads of sweat from his hairline.
Who is she to you? The girl you're looking for.
It was too complicated, too weird. Also, I was missing, so I couldn't be me. I blurted the same lie I told the old people at the precinct. She's my sister.
Your sister.
His body, the muscles of his face, shifted the slightest bit.
She's been gone how long?
2 days since Wednesday.
And you're following me because you think I had something to do with it?
No! I almost put my hand on his arm.
You're following me because you think you're this Messenger 93. And you had a vision I was going to blow up the crowd with my camping gear.
No! I couldn't look at him. No, a crow on his back, a feather on his neck, the birds in the alley. Eddie's little R-less voice. The bird wants you to go. The black bird said the boy will help you. He is the way. I tried again. I came after you because you're looking for Jocelyn and there might be a connection.
Wow. I can tell by reading all of your comments. Oh, hello.
Hello,
Barbara.
sorry.
It's okay. We're all new at this. No, come back. Come back. It's okay. As those readings have been going on, I have to tell you, because I know you haven't been looking at comments. The comments are amazing. So right now there's tons of people doing this, but they've been talking about wanting to make it into a movie.
Oh, good.
Everyone loves the acting, loves the cast. It's amazing.
Well,
So like your comment.
That literally those people had to throw, come together for me so quickly and fall into that so quickly. And we basically filmed it almost in exactly real time how you saw it. Michelle Ayoub not only starred in it, but she also edited the video together so that it was, you could come in and out of people's faces. So she also was working overtime on all of this as well as giving a brilliant performance.
It's so great. Well, the comments, people are just saying stunning writing and reading. These dramatic vignettes are amazing. So let's just get an idea of who's talking to us then. I pulled together a fun little poll and I'm going to launch the poll. So all the people that are out there looking at chats, now just come in, please, and tell us about where you are. So we're saying, where are you joining us from? Are you joining us from the home? You can go right. Oh, people are doing home, office, kitchen, basement, garage, backyard, front porch, couch, bed, or car. There's a lot of people saying couch, a few people saying car. And then in the bottom part, where in the world are you? Multiple choices. And there's Ontario, Quebec, Alberta, British Columbia, Western Canada, Maritimes, United States, Europe, elsewhere in the world, and other. And I know, Barbara, as I was scrolling through, someone said they signed in from Tokyo. So we've got people from all over the world that are participating in this. Yeah, so I'm going to end the poll in a few more minutes, a few more seconds, people. While you're still voting for that, I just wanted to also introduce the idea of our Q&A. So you will see on your screen, there's a section where you can go to Q&A. I noticed that 2 people have posted questions, and we will try and get to those later on. I just want to encourage you, if based on what you've been seeing and based on the next section that you're about to see, if there are burning questions that you have that you really want Barbara to address, please put them in the Q&A. But the really cool thing about this is we all get to vote together. So if you see a question that someone else has posted and you think, I really want to know that too, then vote for it. You'll see a little hand right beside the question. And so we don't have time for every question that appears probably, but we do have time for the questions that appear at the top, and we'll just see how it goes. So I'm going to close the poll now. End poll. So let's just look at our results. So we had out of 109 attendees, 84 voted, and 60%, no surprise, 71% are at home, 5% are in their kitchen, and 20% are on their couch, no surprise. But let's just see where in the world. So 85% of our viewers are in Ontario, but we've got people all over the world, elsewhere in the world, Ontario, Maritimes, all over Canada. So very cool. Thank you, people. I'll share those results. Okay, so we've, oh, the questions are starting to come in now. So good, we've introduced that. So now we're going into the next section. So to join us in the next section, I just wanted to introduce or to give a little blurb. We have someone really special coming in, Diane Terrana. She's the executive editor at the Rights Factory, and she's worked with Barbara since the Dark House, so she's known her for a long time. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Diane.
Thanks for joining us from your home and in all of our homes. So the next section that we're going into, and I should mention, Diane has also recently published a book as well, a highly acclaimed book.
I have it.
You have it? Oh, good. The World on Either Side. So Diane, as an author, is going to be speaking to Barbara as an author because, of course, they both have a different sense of what's going on in their process. And I will go and monitor the chat and the questions, and I will leave the two of you to your cozy conversation that we are going to be able to peek in on.
Thank you. Thanks, Sandy. And just for everyone who's at home, don't worry, we won't go beyond 8 o'clock. We'll try to keep it nice and tight so you can get back to your couch sitting home living. Anyway, thanks, Diane. Welcome. I love Diane. Diane, our relationship has been so meaningful and so special to me beyond her absolutely unerring eye and her ear for when I give her book, my work before we send it out on submission. So she's like my last door after friends like Charlotte and all you beautiful people who know that you're all acknowledged in the book, but Diane is the last door before we go to submission. So I could not do any of this without you. So thank you so much. And thank you for running my Q&A.
Well, thank you, Barbara, for inviting me. One of my fringe benefits at working at the Rights Factory is that I get to work with Barbara Radecki. People often ask me as an editor what I look for in writing, and I've been pointing them to the Dark House. Now I can point them to Messenger 93. I'm honored to have been a part of this book, and I'm honored to be here tonight to ask you some questions about it. I thought we'd start with M. M is a lonely teen who's called upon by a crow. Shouts out to Michelle for that fabulous performance of M, and Joe is the crow.
Joe Vanicola. I also have her book here.
Excellent.
my wonderful crow.
M is called upon to find and save her enemy. And I'd like to ask you what prompted you to write a question about someone with a savior complex?
Well, the savior complex question actually came up very organically. A lot of times my ideas will just kind of parachute in. And this was many years ago, I was still working on the Dark House. And I was talking to a young teen that I know, and she was dating somebody. And she said to me, she was 16 at the time, and she said to me, you know, he thinks that he's Jesus reincarnated, and he really believes it. And it just immediately, I found that fascinating because I think he's not the only one who thinks that he's reincarnated from someone very, very special, right? So this idea that some of us carry within us that we're not just ourselves, but we have this higher purpose, we just don't know what the expression of that is. And that being said, I also wanted to explore what would happen if her journey is not the one that the average reader might think it is. So it was kind of twofold, right? It was the thing about what happens on that journey of am I a savior? Is this what I'm supposed to do? I want to save the world. I mean, right now we must all feel some kind of impulse to save the world. Yet what does that mean? And how would we do that? So I wanted it to be about that complicated journey as opposed to, you know, like a Marvel comic where they do actually save the world.
Right. Well, and that brings me to my next question then. One of the most important people that she meets on this journey is Gray. He is an Indigenous character, and I'd like to ask you how you prepared to write that part.
Yeah, so that was very tricky. Obviously, Gray, as an Indigenous character, came to me really around the time that I was also very aware of coming into greater awareness, because of course I also live in a bubble, and I was coming into greater awareness about missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit, and that was obviously the fact that there is so much difficulty in terms of getting, you know, real attention on that issue in any country. And so I was very moved by that and very frustrated by that. And so he came, and then, but as this character came, and as the story point came that he was also looking for somebody, she was also an Indigenous girl, not a white girl like Emma's looking for. And then I began to realize that this might be a tricky world to go into because of appropriation of voice. And so I began to really investigate what that means to write outside your cultural identity. And at the same time, and of course, you know, got lots of pushback and lots of concerns about that. But as a white writer, I don't want to have my writing worlds just be white, middle class, cisgendered, you know, able-bodied. Like my world, our world is very comprehensive, right? And so it was like, okay, I had two choices. One, I don't go down that road at all, or one, I figure out if I can do it. And I talked to many people, friends, and people who became my friends in the meantime, who are Indigenous and from various First Nations. And I talked to them about this process, and they gave me a lot of guidance and a lot of shared their thoughts. And I have an extensive acknowledgements at the end of the book where I talk about that process, and where I talk about you know, things like compensating your consultants if you're doing that kind of, you know, asking for that kind of sensitive emotional experience. And so I decided that I was going to explore what that would be like. And then it became the thing of, now I'm walking a line of, well, where am I allowed, like how do I protect those characters from me, a white writer? How do I protect them? And that became a very, very extensive process as well.
Okay, I think everyone can see why I love working with Barbara Radecki, right? These are the fabulous conversations we have as she's writing her book. I will finish with one question, and then I will throw it to the fabulous moderator, Sandy, for questions. But I'd like to know, I know you have a great working relationship with Barry Jowett at DCB Books, and I'd like to know what the best edit he gave you was.
So one of the beautiful things about working with Barry is he's not like an intrusive, in your face, like watching every word that you do and telling you what to do, but he asks perfect questions, perfectly timed questions. And he's very nuanced and delicate with the way he deals with his writers. And one of the most amazing things is we had a discussion right after he acquired it. We talked for an hour, and the book was not at all like what you're going to see, which is interesting. Writers don't usually take a deal with a publisher and then say, okay, now I'm going to change it completely. But he said one thing, and I can't tell you what it is because it'll give away the story, the ending. But he asked me one question, and I'm like, I kind of registered it. And then we continued to talk, and I'm like, you know, he was sort of already backtracking. Yeah, you probably can't do it because it would undo your whole story, and you'd have to, you know. So then I went to bed that night, and literally the entire new story parachuted in terms of this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. And I took off the first 100 pages of the book, and I took off the last 100 pages of the book, and I rewrote them with this new idea in mind. And Barry, thankfully, was very patient, because I think the book now is actually so much stronger than it was back then. So.
Wow. Well, thank you. This has been fabulous. And
thank you, Diane.
Take it away, Sandy.
Actually, I'll just come back in.
Oh, we can't hear you, Sandy. Oops.
Oops.
Oh, you're on. It's just you were breaking up.
My living room is too far away from your living room. Okay, so our question and answer section has been blowing up with all kinds of interesting questions. The number one question is, what is the significance of 93? 10 people.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because there were so many weird choices or random choices, shall we say, that I made along the way that turned out to be very interesting to me once I researched, well, why did I pick that? So one of them was Messenger 93. Now I have a kind of private reason why I chose that number, but it's almost incidental because the title came to me, and right after I heard this story about this boy who thought he was Jesus reincarnated. I'm not laughing at that. I think that's so powerful and sweet. And so right afterwards, this title came in, and so it was always Messenger 93 from the beginning. So then when I started to write the book, I went, is 93 significant? And then I found all these cool things. They are in the book. Some things like the Earth is 93 million miles from the sun. Now that's just a random number. But if you were to look it up, you could see 93 million miles. The universe is calculated to be 93 billion light years large. 93 was the number that's related to a religious order, a philosophical spiritual order from the early 1900s. And they used 93 as their power number for love and free will. And that philosophical, that spiritual philosophy was begun by a man named Alistair, and it's spelled Crowley, which I would have pronounced as Crowley, Crowley, but in fact there was a big point about his name being pronounced Crowley. So again, it was just like this kind of cool little circumstance.
Sorry, I went away because I was trying to concentrate on the questions, but that's an awesome answer. Lots of people were going yay, yay, yay about that. The other number one thing, there's two more questions. I'm going to only take two more questions, everybody. I've picked them already. I'm taking an amalgamation of what I've seen as popular. So I'm going to go down to a question here from Greg. He said, can you tell us about the experiences of writing your second book as compared to the first? Was it harder, easier? Was it different?
Oh, that's such a great question that I'm happy to answer, because it was so different. With The Dark House, I always saw that story from beginning to end, even though it also changed drastically between my beginning point and my end point. But Messenger 93, I only knew my beginning point, this girl receiving this message and basically running away from home. And I didn't know what was going to happen after that. So every draft that I did was trying out a new place that she could go, a new direction, a new set of events that could happen to her. And so that was terrifying and exhausting and and overwhelming, and it took so long to get to what I find is the sweet spot. Not everyone may agree with that, but that's how I feel about it. And it took me so long. So it was emotionally much tougher than Dark House, even though learning how to write The Dark House was more of a writer's journey, let's say.
Right, the two different parts of your journey in total.
Yeah.
The final question that I selected, and there are probably 10 questions that are related to this. While writing Messenger 93, did you receive any messages?
I did receive messages all the time. I mean, even something simple or not simple, but profound, like what happened with Barry saying, what would happen? Like, I thought this was going to happen at the end. And it made me think about that. To me, that's a message. These are messages that helped direct me, here and there. I actually had wanted to kind of make a list of all the messages that I've received over the years. While I've been writing this story, but I don't have access to them all right now. I mean, I just think, when you go in and you look up what does 93 mean, and then all of these meanings, significant meanings come up, like that to me feels like getting messages. I got messages, important messages of support from people like Diane and from the people that I worked with as my consultants. I used many different consultants. So having those literal messages, those helped me a lot. And I had messages of resistance, and those messages also forced me to think about what I was doing and why I was doing it and how I was doing it. And so it was a painful journey, but I'm so grateful for those messages as well.
Took you down a different path. I have to tell you something that's going to make you laugh. One of the things the chat, our friend Sean has said, there is a crow on our front lawn right now trying to watch our laptop through the front window.
No, Sean.
That's a message.
Take a picture of that. I want to see that. And actually, I did also get a message, a text message from my girlfriend Marie yesterday. And she's like, oh my God, I'm talking to my friends. And one of my friends is saying that crows are one of the birds that speak, which I think we can all accept that, but that they actually, sometimes humans try to get them to speak like so that they can speak to each other. So that's not something I had ever really come across. And so I certainly think that crows speak, but I didn't think that I know that they were giving the gifts and things like that. And that they, you know, I all about the intelligence of crows and what they notice and how they can, you know, remember people and all of that. But I didn't realize there was actually also a speaking connection between crows and humans. So that's cool.
I had a crow as a pet when I was small. I rescued him, and he well, doesn't matter. Another thing.
Of course you did.
Awesome background for you. I was trying to find a stuffed crow that I could just sort of have here. I didn't find that either, but not in my living room anyways. Okay, I think it's 8 o'clock. And there's tons more questions that maybe we're going to have to address in a whole other section at some point. Maybe we can do something live again. Thank you everyone for coming and for posting. We're going to have a lot of fun looking through this chat afterwards. Just so everyone knows, this is a recorded event, so we will be able to point the direction for you later so that you can tell your friends to come and watch it and look at what we've been doing. You can come and rewatch it. But I just wanted to say thank you so much, Barbara, for letting me be part of this journey. You and I have been friends for almost 40 years, I realized today. Wow. Yeah, our families are inextricably wound together. Yeah. So it was really fun to be part of this. I am going to post this back to you now, full screen, just because this is your night. And congratulations on having your second novel. I've been so excited for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Sandy. Thank you, family. Thank you, daughters. Thank you, parents and sisters and best friends and dear friends and all of you who came to join me today. I didn't think I would be able to feel you, but I do feel you. So that's miraculous for me. And yeah, this is going to be, I feel much better now than I did going into this. So thank you so much, everybody. And on the credits, as I said, there's going to be all the credits of who are my readers, all my thank yous, and all those bookstores from Canadian coast to coast. So just thank you, everybody. I love you, and keep safe if you can. Yeah, have a great, well, hopefully we'll be able to hug each other in a year or two.